Shadows of people cast into concrete, entire cities turn to dust and ashes. The Cold War is always preferable to a hot war. To this day, the conflict that decides whether we live or die continues to be fought across the world. A simple push of a button can bring about the end of life as we know it, leaving behind an empty husk ravaged by nuclear winter, floating endlessly through space. Now imagine, a peaceful world without weapons or violence, the effort of billions going toward peace, love, and happiness, a world where we judge ideas and concepts by merit, instead of their ability to be enforced by violence. Terminal Conflict is a new geopolitical strategy game developed by Strategy Mill, a small company based in Sweden. For those familiar, there was a game a few years ago in which was called East versus West. It was a paradox game in which it was kind of a Victoria 2 style game in which it would go along the events from 1949 all the way to 1991. So that East versus West was like pertaining to the Cold War. So in Terminal Conflict, it is the same thing. You're playing as like the major powers of the Cold War, which was a conflict pertaining from 1945 all the way to 1991, in which the United States of America and the Soviet Union fought a Cold War, a war in which was never fought directly between the two superpowers. And in Terminal Conflict, you are basically playing through certain eras. So like in the first era, it's from 1946 to 1949, and then 1951, 1955, so on and so forth, and it keeps going every few years and stuff like that. So like here we have 1961 and 1965, and obviously in between that, the Cuban Missile Crisis happened in real life. There's several different cool features that this game is going to have. So basically, it has the Doomsday Clock. If you don't know what the Doomsday Clock was, the Doomsday Clock was basically a clock that was developed by the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists back in the early 50s, I believe. And basically, the closer it gets to midnight, the closer we are to nuclear annihilation. So events just as now, like I believe the time right now, it is still actually active and being used scientifically. The time now, as of 10/21/17, is 11:57, and so that's just like with the events of North Korea, stuff like that. So there are several features that this game has in which it pertains to events in the Cold War and stuff like that. You also have like to think strategically whether you should launch a nuclear attack against your opponent, whether you are the United States or the USSR. You have certain things that you have, such as it does look like you have a lot of things in which you can take over certain areas, in especially like continents, strategic areas, stuff like that. So like the eastern and western United States are divided in first comm and second comm, and then you have a lot of units all over the area, like sub command, the 7th Fleet, the 5th Fleet, stuff like that. To win the game, you have several options. To represent the escalating and de-escalating tensions during the Cold War period, they placed the Doomsday Clock into the core of the game, which in East versus West, it was kind of the same thing. The Doomsday Clock was in the game. Critical decisions, military actions, or failed intelligence operations have an impact on the Doomsday Clock. Throughout the actions of both you and the opponent, once it reaches the 10th and final step, both sides may unleash their nuclear arsenal. You may use peaceful means to achieve victory, to stop a nuclear war and win through conventional means. Cooperate with your adversary and lower the Doomsday Clock through disarmament, but really, can you trust what you see in your quest to make a world a better place? When things change quickly, you must adapt. If the Doomsday Clock is ticking close to midnight, do not lose all hope. Trigger-happy opponent is a predictable opponent. Taking advantage of a narrow-minded tunnel vision means that you can achieve victory through other means while they obsess over their nuclear arsenal. Make sure to remember that the stakes are high, and pushing too hard can mean the difference between total destruction and endless reward. Most importantly, keep in mind that the game does go on, as you learn valuable lessons from your victories and defeats, and utilize them to master the mind game. I am really excited for this game. I will be posting links in the description to development diaries and the website to their game, as well as their Facebook and Twitter, in order for you, if you are interested in this game, to keep up with what they are doing with the game. And if you want to play it yourself, go ahead and play it yourself, and you will have their information. Take care and see you soon.